Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Cardfight Vanguard Bastion Keter Sanctuary deck profile for May 2021. Following line with the other deck profiles, I've been wanting to work on one of the ones from one of the latest start decks, the Toya start deck, and his main go-to unit, which is Apex Ruler Bastion, a deck that focuses heavily on the grade 3 count, a deck that works extremely well. I think it's one of the top decks in the current format we have for the Cardfight Vanguard Overdress format. A really strong deck, like I said before, that focuses on a good number of different grade 3s, along with just the easiness of using the ride deck and then not having to worry about being grade stuck with the amount of grade 3s we run in the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the ride deck. Our starter for the deck is Knight of Heavenly Bow base, just the standard one wrote upon. If you went second, draw a card, grade 0 starter. For the grade 1, we are running one Knight of Heavenly Sword Fort. When this unit is rode upon by a Knight of Heavenly Spear Rooks, reveal 2 grade 3s from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck, call it to rear if it is a unit card, and put it into your drop zone if it isn't. And on rear, you have a once per turn counter +1. Choose one of your grade 3 Vanguards, and it gets plus 5,000 until end of turn. So you have it more for the Vanguard setup, just being able to get a free unit call if it's a unit, which we're running a good majority of different units in the deck. So having this as the go-to ride target when rode upon by our next card, which is Knight of Heavenly Spear Rooks, gives you the advantage that this deck needs just for the additional option of when this unit is rode upon by Apex Ruler Bastion, reveal 3 grade 3 cards from your hand to draw 1 card. The draw power can either reveal a sentinel for you to add to your hand or just, additional cards for you to call out to the rear guard. But also with the ride deck being a big part of the deck, you don't have to worry about being grade stuck with the high number of grade 3s we are running in the deck altogether. And the last card for the grade 3 ride target in the ride deck is Apex Ruler Bastion. On Vanguard, during your turn, all your grade 3s get plus 2,000 power. So very useful for the plus 2,000 power option. And also once per turn on Vanguard, at the end of the battle, your drive check revealed a grade 3. Discard a card from your hand. Choose one of your rear guards and stand it. And if it gets plus 10,000 power until end of turn. So that options out for multiple attacks as well in the deck. That's why with the ride deck, we are also running 3 additional Apex Ruler Bastion. This card is in here for just the Persona Ride power that this card can provide, along with the pressure that we spoke of before with the plus 2,000 to each one of your grade 3s, which will be the majority of cards you call out to the rear guard circles, but also just for the fact that at the end of the battle that your drive check revealed it, you'll be able to restand a rear guard for the plus 10,000 power. It's at the end of the battle just because then you can't get the multiple restands with this card. It is a once per turn, so remember that as well, just for that one rear guard stand. So having that power boost and the restand means that also if you reveal your over trigger in the deck, which is your Light Dragon Deity of Honors, you'll have the restood rear guard, which can attack and also perform a drive check then if you already attacked with it beforehand. And like I said, we have a good number of grade 3s to get through in the deck. So for the additional numbers of grade 3s, we're also running 4 Grand Heavenly Sword Alden. When this unit is placed on rear guard, counterblast 2, soul blast 1. Choose a card from your hand and call it to rear. If you call it a grade 3, draw 2 cards. And on rear, when this unit attacks, if you have 3 or more grade 3 units, it gets plus 5,000 till end of turn. So with this card, you have draw power, you have the additional call power. It is a pretty heavy cost for the counterblast 2, but our next card helps to make up for those resources altogether. But it's great for that pressure and being able to call it early game with our grade 1 ride target option to the field just gives us more early game setup with multiple rear guards. So if we do drive check the over trigger early game, at least we have rear guards to benefit for the drive checks that they can perform also. And I also run 4 of the Knight of War damage, Fasado. On rearguard, this unit cannot be chosen by your opponent's card effect, so being able to avoid being retired by your opponent's cards is a big plus there for sure, just giving you a unit you definitely want in the front row, along with the retire, protection. Also on rear, when this unit attack hits, countercharge 1, soul charge 1. So this will make up for all the costs that you use with cards like Alden. You don't really have much of a cost to be paid with cards like Bastion in the deck, so just being able to have and reuse plenty of copies of Alden with all the different Fusado options gives you pressure against your opponent, because this card doesn't even have to hit a Vanguard. You can attack one of your opponent's rear guards with this card and still have the countercharge soul charge option available to you with this card altogether. And I also run, for more of the fact that we are running a high number of grade 3s in the deck, I am also running 4 Darkstrain Dragon on rear. If you have 3 or more grade 3 units, Soul Blast 2, and all of your other grade 3 units get boost until end of turn. So being able to boost with your grade 3s is a big part of the deck. So you have something that can boost your other grade 3s on the field for some pretty big pressure altogether. Even if you can't boost the one turn, having your grade 3s just to attack is good enough, but still with all these soul you can build up with cards like Fasado and just Persona Riding, you can have a pretty good number of turns where you're just Soul Blasting 2 to gain the boost with all your different Darkstrain Dragons you run in the deck. And for more of the discard costs, especially with the ride deck, I am running 4 actual Analysts, Coca Biel. All of your Vanguards with Apex Roar Bastion get plus 5,000 for every 2 of your grade 3 units. The power boost, especially when you have Bastion, for the shield and the multiple grade 3s we're running, gives you more of a protection option with this card, being able to then rely on it for that setup against your opponent. Having multiple grade 3s, which has been the majority of what we use so far, and all of those guard powers on the guard circle when your Vanguard is Bastion, giving the, for every 2 rear guards, gives you just a good shield against your opponent to use with this card. A big part that can come up also, you want Bastion to be your main Vanguard for a good number of the plays, but being able to rely on other cards as just, Persona Rides if need be. It's not going to happen much because you will have Bastion as your ride deck target, just as an available one to get out onto the field. And for some of the final grade 3s we run the deck, just 4 Knight of Broadaxe Refluke on rearguard. Put this unit into your soul. Choose one of your grade 3 rearguards and it gets plus 10,000 till end of turn. So just by putting it into the soul, you can make up for the fact that this card can't boost if you don't have your 1 unit Darkstrain Dragon on the field, because then you'll have it in the soul, made up for other cards like Alden, and then just the plus 10,000 power can be enough to provide, since all of the cards have 13,000 power for their alone attack, making it so they can hit a good number of Vanguards against your opponent or any other card on the field. And for that, our final grade 3 that we run in the deck, I'm just running 1 Divine Sister Lepisto. This is in here more for just the additional setup that this card can provide for the restand when your drive check reveals a trigger unit. So we're relying a lot on the grade 3s in the deck, but being able to rely on Lepisto for a restand just by a countercharge 2 is just one additional card that we can restand along with the card that Bastion can restand with its own card ability, giving you 2 cards on the field. If you attack with the 2 rear guards first, if you know the play is going to go off successfully, and then you get the over trigger, being able to restand this card, having the over trigger power, along with the fact that your rear guards will then attack with their drive checks as well. And this is, I know I don't do this often, but we are actually skipping the grade 2s. I wanted to try it out, and I'm very happy with the results of the fact that we only run the 1 grade 2, and that is the 1 in the ride deck. So now, skipping the grade 2s and going on to the grade 1s, you want to run 4 of the Aegis Mare Dragon. I know I have the 1 start deck PG in the deck, but definitely 4 of this, just for the fact that you don't have to discard a card for this card for the cost if you just have the option of having basically 2 or less cards. If you have 2 or more cards in your hand, you discard it. So with it, if you have just 1 other card in your hand and you use this card for the guard, you can save the last sentinel in your hand for the second guard against your opponent's cards. And then for the normal order units, I am running 2 of the Downswing of the Sword Judgment. You play this card with a Soul Blast of a grade 3. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards. Your opponent puts all of their rear guards in the same column as that rear guard on the bottom of their deck. So this is just another good way to get rid of resources your opponent may have on the field. I wanted an option for the deck, and only running 2 orders doesn't really conflict much with our ride deck search options that we have. So being able to rely on this card for that setup just gives us more of a better way to get rid of defensive cards or resources our opponent may need on the field to use against us later on. And that is it for the units and the normal orders. We already went over the starter with the ride deck. For the trigger lineup, I'm running a number of 7 criticals for the deck. So 4 of the Knight of Heavenly Hammer, Gargant, and 3 White Fang Witch Disma. So 7 critical in total, just great for the pressure of all the different grade 3s. And the fact that our over trigger will allow us to give drive checks to our rear guards as well, just puts on the pressure with these criticals all together. I also run the 4 draw trigger just for more hand consistency consistency so we can open up some of the sentinels easier, or just, like I said, resources to set up our field with the play we want in the deck. And also running the start deck trigger, which is the Healer of Heavenly Staff Arches, for just the fact that I think it matches up nicely with the Bastion deck, having the art for the bigger picture play on the field, with the last trigger being our over trigger, which is Light Dragon of Honors, Arma Tanoa. With this card having the over trigger skill to remove it and then draw a card, giving a unit 100 million power. And the additional effect, when you reveal it for the drive check until end of turn, you also perform drive checks for the battles of your rearguard attacks. Now that pressure is insane altogether, being able to have the rearguard pressure, and just if you get multiple triggers, you can hit for multiple damage against your opponent. If you reveal multiple critical triggers, that additional damage with your rearguards is all the pressure you need to go up against your opponent, especially. It definitely reminds me of Ultima from, the G format, just with that pressure that card provided, giving your trigger effects to all of your units on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. I know a lot of you requested the Bastion deck, so big thanks to my buddy Anthony for letting me borrow his deck. It was the one he was most excited to build from the overdressed format. Finally got it finished and ready for the deck profile, and still gonna be working on a bunch of other decks for these series, so definitely look forward to them. And until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.